Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Agents of S.h.i.e.L.D. Another great episode. A lot of stuff went down in this episode, so let's break things down bit by bit. Obviously, Ruby and Strucker, isn't his name Alex? I keep thinking his name is Alex. I'm going to refer to him as Alex, but it's probably wrong. I'm pretty sure it's Alex, but nevertheless, are forcing Simmons and Fitz to work, fix up the machine, which is interesting because there's logic in it. Well, like Fitz and Simmons are kind of like, oh, well, we should do this. We should sabotage this, even if it means sacrificing our lives, because that would mean that we would stop this. We would break the loop. But it's like, but I nothing really matters to me as much as you do. So like, no matter what, even though this is the fate of the world, you matter more to me. And it's like, Simmons is kind of like, oh my goodness, I feel the same way, which is like, it's selfish, but at the same time, it's like when it comes to you, like everyone is selfish on some level. It's hard to be the one that's willing to put everything before, because also, especially because they met Deacon, so they know about their daughter, also the family that she starts. So it's not just their lives in future, it's also their child and then their child's child, essentially. So there's that. There's the whole May and Coulson situation, because May's not willing to listen to Coulson. It's like, I've said what I need to say. We got a mission, so let's focus on that. Because May's just tired of like Coulson's selfishness, essentially. And it's like he doesn't get the chance to say what he needs to say either. Just because like May's pissed at him for being the way he is. Not because being so dense about it, not being able to really see what was going on, not, keeping all this to himself and being reckless like he has been. Also, I love the whole thing about Deacon, like obviously, because even Matt goes, "Are you wearing cologne?" He's like, "What? No." It's like, everybody, yeah, you heard Daisy. He's like, "Daisy, do you need me to go and back you up?" She's like, "You literally just got shot. Why are you even up?" It's like, "Okay, people, let's head out." He's like, "Yeah, you heard her, ladies and gentlemen. Like, move out." And it's like you're such a little kiss ass. I love it. And then even Coulson and Mac pointed out, and he's like, "What? No. Okay, so hypothetically, if I was, how would I do it? Because she hates me, doesn't it?" It's like, "Oh, yeah, she hates you." But they're both like, literally, we can't help you in that department. They're literally sucking at their love life right now. Matt's got the whole situation with Yo-Yo, because she literally, like, tricked him and then locked him into a room. So it's kind of like, that's complicated. And then you have the whole situation with May and Coulson, and he's just kind of like, I even love later on that Deacon's like, yeah, women, and you have Mac being like, "Shut up, lemons." I love that, dude. It's so good. Because I was like so shocked too. He's like, "Yeah, whatever you say, Daisy." I'm like, "You are being so damn obvious about you're so into her." Though I'm sure Daisy doesn't recognize it at all. And once again, I think I brought this up too. Like, Daisy hasn't been in a relationship since Lincoln. I mean, to be fair, like, we saw that kind of like what that did to her. We don't know if, she's probably not even open up to it, especially with everything that's going on with Coulson, potentially the destruction of the world, what the future has in store for them. The question is too, I get the feeling like Deacon won't survive this. There's no way he can, on multiple reasons. One, if they do change the future, he's most likely going to die because he'll fade from existence, because, well, he won't necessarily be the person he's supposed to be then that needed to come back in time to help them, so he'll kind of fade from existence, I would assume. Two, he's going to die. Just because it's like, to kind of compensate for the fact is that he can't exist in his timeline when he's like, so I feel like it's going to go one or two ways in that situation. Whether there's going to be a him and a Daisy before then, who knows? Like I said, Daisy's completely oblivious to how he feels about her. It is kind of interesting because even May and can't let her like situation with Coulson kind of get by. You can still tell it bothers her. For one, it's just like, Coulson's like, you guys can't do something, and they're like, well, Coulson, you have no say in this. It's like, you want me to run this team, is what Daisy was saying. Then I'm gonna run it this way. So, which was then followed by Deacon's comment of women. Am I right? I also love that like May was like, "Yeah, I don't need a gun. I'm gonna go in fist blazing because like I need I need to let out some aggression." And she like that poor last dude she beat the crowd out of, she like flipped him, punch, and then walked away. It's like, I was kind of halfway expecting Daisy to stop her, but Daisy was probably like, "Nah, you do you, May. I'm not gonna tell you what to do with your anger." Then we had the whole situation with S.h.i.e.L.D. She's willing to help them now because she saw what happened to Creole, knowing that there are two voices, which is so interesting to me. Like, two people is enough to kind of make the gravitonium the way it is. And I guess that's why it is enough to make you go crazy. If you had one person screaming in your head, that's one thing, but having literally two people, like, that's why I still don't get like what that whole situation was about with Reina. Like, why did she do that? Like I said, that was before she even became, like, I mean, maybe I'm forgetting the context of the gravitonium at that point in time, but it's like, I mean, like I said, that had to be like season 2. So that was a good couple years ago. So, like I said, because that was even before she became an Inhuman. So that was like before even the second half of season 2. It's something you have to even remember that. Well, interestingly enough, it did say 4 years ago. So that means it's probably most likely I mean, it could be, yeah, during the early season 2, or rather stuff between season 1 and late season 1 to early season 2 stuff, like, or being 4 years ago and everything. So. We still don't know, like, why. What was the context for that? Was that something she was doing for Daisy's dad? I don't remember. I mean, I wouldn't know. I don't know. I can't remember what Raina's circumstances. Like I said before, I don't remember what her allegiances, who they were exactly to at that point in time. Nevertheless, but I guess like two consciousnesses, like when you have your own consciousness and then you have two other ones rattling off like that, I guess that's enough to kind of drive you crazy. I'm sure it's amplified by the gravitonium too. Like, are there? I mean, especially it was kind of interesting because we saw Ruby's drawing. It showed one large drawing of a person and then multiple people in there. So maybe they're the two bit loudest voices, but who's to say they are the only ones? I'm assuming they're the only one. I thought there were more people in there, sure, but the fact is that Ruby drew so many means either more people get absorbed into the gravitonium later on, or there are other people in there. It's just those two voices are the loudest and the ones that we can pick out the most. That there are other regular people in there too, potential, or people of other significances in there as well. Because I think it was actually, because you could tell there were early signs of like, okay, something is a little weird, because Fitz was like, yeah, we can't move the gravitonium. It's like, yeah, the only one who can potentially, they don't say it, but obviously it's Daisy, but then the gravitonium starts moving and they're like, you have Ruby being like, see? Which even they're like, did you see that? It's like, yeah, like that's not normal. That's literally impossible. And yet it's because it was moving on its own. Like it had like legit, I mean, at the time they didn't realize it had its free will. Like this is while Coulson and the others are finding out about it from Creole's situation, which now Hell knows too, but still. They weren't able to get there in time to stop Ruby from fusing with it. Fortunately enough, she didn't fuse with all of it. She only fused with 8%. But to be fair, what did Creole do? He literally touched it and it drove him crazy. Like, she absorbed 8% of it and it immediately drives her crazy. Gives her a crazy boost in power because she has Alex by her side. He's like, oh, I'm not going to leave you. And then she proceeded to crush his head accidentally. And it's like slow to, it was like, I was like, oh my God, like what's happening? His eyes bleed and his head start caving in. And then he just passed. I'm like, oh, I was like, that's so brutal. Oh, that's nasty. Oh man, that sucks. That sucks super hard. Because in a twisted way, he was like the only person that Ruby liked. Because obviously, like with what her world has been for most of her life when it comes to her mom is all she's ever had, and that kind of leaves her with a complex relationship with her mom. So Alex was the first person because he accepted her for who she was, and I was like, oh, he was all for her becoming who she wants to be. Like, he was kind of like, oh, this is what you want to do, this is what you want to be, fine. Because Ruby kind of wanted to make her own decisions, so it's like, finally feel powerful, live up to her mom's expectations, but Alex kind of is like, hey, no matter what you do, you're going to be amazing, I believe in you. And they even kissed and everything. You even saw Fitz and Simmons standing over there. I'm sure what's crossing her mind's like, really? Wow, that's a messed up, like, twisted duo, you know? So maybe that was kind of but that was kind of like just the look on their faces and them just staring like that made me think that that's what they're thinking. Maybe they weren't thinking it. I don't know. But it is crazy to see what happens with when just 8%. It's like, I mean, to be fair, we kind of know would it even take 100% to crack the Earth? I mean, I would assume. I mean, she's able to do a good chunk, like just with 8%. So, I mean, would it even take the full 100% to crack the Earth? I mean, who knows? Maybe it would. I don't know. Things did not turn out the way that I thought they would. Obviously, Daisy's trying to talk to her, but obviously, Ruby's got all these different people in her head. She's talking to Hell. Like, Hell's trying to calm her down. It's like, the fact of the matter is, you're not a disappointment. I put all this pressure on you to do this and that. And then even Daisy's like, I've literally been in your situation. I can help you. But she started losing control, and lo and behold, who shows up after all this time is Yo-Yo. And Yo-Yo literally shows up just in time to slit Ruby's throat. I was like, And even Daisy's like, what the hell are you doing, Yo-Yo? That was so messed up. And Yo-Yo's got the audacity to be like, I just saved the world. That's what happened. It's like, no, you didn't. Because I don't know what it is. Yo-Yo, I think like it's a combination of her pride. She wants to feel useful. Plus she thinks that she can be the one that changes everything. Even though it's funny considering she was the first one to be like, no, everything's going to stay the same because I'm still alive. I think all of that just, all that she's been through, the pain from her arms is enough to kind of drive her a little insane. Because the fact of the matter is we saw even when Ruby died, like there was kind of an eruption of power. So I guess that was a gravitonium escaping her. Like, because even in my mind, I'm like, Ruby might have been losing control, but she was the only thing holding that gravitonium back. The moment she died, who's to say the gravitonium didn't actually get released from her body? What's that supposed to what's that representing? Is that like, did it infect someone else's body at that moment in time? Is it gravitonium, that essence? Did it escape and go somewhere else? We don't know, you know? And immediately my brain goes to two different areas because of two different things. One, I was like, because the moment S.h.i.e.L.D. disappeared, I was like, oh man, S.h.i.E.L.D. must have got infected by it. But it's like, no, she goes to the Confederate, which we learned that alien that she talks to, his name is Kovacs. And so it's one of those situations of inadvertently, Yo-Yo might have just pushed, she might have been the catalyst that helped Earth get closer to its destruction. Thinking she saved it, she might have been one of the tipping points to push it that direction. So, bringing up some things that I've already kind of brought up before, because now the aliens know that S.h.i.e.L.D. has the gravitonium, because for S.h.i.e.L.D. it's like, I don't care anymore. It's like she wanted the gravitonium to fight against the Confederate, you know, because it's like, oh, she knows she couldn't trust them, but now she's filled with so much rage because it's like she needs S.h.i.E.L.D. she needs them dead. I don't care what you do with the gravitonium. I don't care what happens to anything. My little girl is gone, which is like super messed up on Yo-Yo's case to do that. I mean, it's like, that was a little girl that kind of shows you that Yo-Yo isn't in the most stable of mind. And maybe that's something we see with future Yo-Yo. More regrets she had was because of what she did, you know. Because like I said, it's just so interesting because Yo-Yo feels like she has all the answers, considering the fact that she didn't learn all there was. She learned little tidbits about the future, and it seems like she's extrapolating from that. And like I said, Yo-Yo just has not been the same since obviously coming back from the future, but also subsequently since losing her arms. Like I said, it just seems like she wants to feel useful. She doesn't want to feel useless, which is like you never would be, but I think she's just overcompensating in my mind. That's just me. I mean, she's already established that, like she's already been overcompensating, but I feel like that's messing with her judgment even now. But hey, it's like, also you have to think about it as well. She saw the future and she saw an opportunity to change it, so I guess no matter how effed up it is, she still felt like it was something she needed to do. But nevertheless, getting back to what I was trying to bring up before, the fact of the matter is, what the future Yo-Yo say, it's happened because we tried to save Coulson, and that's when everything fell apart. Which is kind of interesting, because I feel like, I don't know. I feel like, why didn't you go back even further? Because like, there had to be moments leading up to just like Coulson, trying to save Coulson being the end. Now, once again, I've already interpreted like, oh, maybe that's supposed to represent the fact is that the gravitonium happens to Coulson, that it's Daisy who tries to stop him or whatever. Now my mind is starting to think, well, basically, the Confederate, because we don't know how big they are. We've literally only seen one alien. This is going to be a full-blown alien invasion. Again, we haven't had one of those in a good while, which is kind of funny considering, like, it's kind of funny, too. Oh, I'm just thinking about that because the next week when the next episode comes out, it's going to be the day Infinity War comes out. So it's just like, once again, like, how is that going to correlate? I'm sure they'll have references to it, but it probably won't. Like, it's never like huge, big impacts. It's just kind of references here and there. So, which is also going to bother me a little bit because I'm not going to see Infinity War right away. I'm going to try and squeeze that in as soon as possible, but I know like everyone and their mother is going to try and watch it like the day it comes out. But also like Gus from Rooster Teeth kind of brought up something interesting. Like, you need to see that movie as soon as possible because if you don't, people are going to spoil the shit out of that. I was just thinking about that. It didn't even correlate in my head. It's like, if I don't see it, I'm going to have to avoid the internet like the fucking plague. Nevertheless, I'm just curious to see how that all like fits together and all of that. But to probably fight this alien invasion, it's like, oh, we're going to need manpower, which we don't have the manpower. So it's like, oh, what's the only other means of stopping this? You know, we can't let them get it. It's like, well, maybe what we saw from the camera from in the future where last time anyone saw Daisy, maybe that was Daisy going off to try and get fused with the gravitonium. Maybe Coulson beats her to it. Because for Coulson, it's like, well, I'm going to die anyway. Why not let me sacrifice my life? Maybe that was Daisy going off to try and stop Coulson from doing it. And I don't know. Because it looked like it was her trying to stop somebody from getting off the Quinjet or something. Because she had her arm out, so it's almost like she was pushing somebody or somebody's back, so it could go either way in that situation. But I'm thinking that's what it's all set up to be, because it's hard to say, like, at this point in time, like, everything is leaning to be like, man, future's going to play out the way it was, like, it's already been set up to play out as. So ultimately we have to wait and see. I'm also skipping over the whole Talbot situation, which it seems like his target was Ruby the entire time, because what would make the most, well, I guess it was kind of finding out whatever weaponry that they had. I feel like they obviously didn't know that S.h.i.e.L.D. had Ruby at that time. So it had to be a situation of like, oh, he probably recognized her immediately. Like, oh, I know who she is. She's important. Or maybe they did. Maybe they just needed him to track her down and he just happened to, or just serendipitously, which I guess is another thing of like, oh yeah, kind of playing into everything. Like, Daisy brought her there trying to track down Coulson and everything. So, but the thing is, like, Ruby doesn't fight it, because I think it's the sad thing about Ruby's situation is because she sees the future, she just accepts things, because it's like, she's like, she knew exactly who Talbot is. She's like, you're the general. And she's like, I drew you. And he's like, you're coming with me. And she's like, I know, because she knows how things are. So she's never worried. And it just kind of, it almost in a way leaves her a little cynical, especially when you look at the look on her face, just kind of like, she's just like, because it's like, for her, it doesn't matter. She knows how everything's going to play. Not every minute detail, but she has a general idea of how everything's going to play out. Luckily, they were able to stop Talbot without having to kill him. So that's going to have to do some of that unbrainwashing. But I am curious to see what else is in store, because we've seen her draw like the the Zephyr flying off into space. Obviously that's, because that's what they're trying to set everything up for, because it's like, well, in case things don't work out, we need to be able to kind of bounce, go into space if need be when it comes to all of this. So like, it's just a great episode with a lot of craziness to it. I was so shocked that, like, for one, Alex, once again, Strucker, I still want to call him Alex, and Ruby didn't see either of that going down the way it did. I thought it would be like a final big climactic battle between Daisy and Ruby. Turns out not to be the case. It's kind of sad that her story played out like that. It's definitely going to be very interesting to see what the next episode has in store for us when all of this kind of comes together. I just looked it up, and this is episode 18. We literally have 4 episodes left this season, so no telling what can go down in those 4 episodes. But really, that's all I want to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.